Hello, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Beyond the Summit presentation of the Starladder I-League Chinese playoffs. Here we have the lower bracket match between the Wings Gaming and DK. We're going into Game 2 of this best-of-3 series, and we have had just a hell of a game for Game 1. Started off with Wings looking just really strong. I mean, dominating. Obviously, they picked a draft for it, but they were able to really control the early fights. And then Wings got to tiny things up, and they were able to really just crush down the buildings, force a bit of a base race situation, and were able to win out in the end through some really spectacular play on behalf of Y Chen. But we'll have to go ahead and jump into Game 2 and see what that one will bring. I'd like to warmly welcome in my co-caster. I'm myself and Blaze, but this time I'm joined by Hades. How's it going, man?
It's all good. That was a really exciting game one. I think Wings game they kind of choked, especially when it came to a bit of a base race. DK just making the right decisions, forcing Wings to panic a bit. And actually, it was quite surprising. I thought Wings had it when I watched the first 20 minutes because I don't know. It just felt like Wings really had them, and DK the vengeful spirit was quite a questionable pick, but it looks like it kind of worked out. It was tiny.
Yeah, I would say that Wings won the game on tactics, but DK won it on strategy, and they knew where they needed to be and when they needed to be there in order to have the game-winning push. And yeah, overall, it feels like Wings did struggle a little bit in just dealing with that threat, and I guess the fact is that their heroes that they picked weren't very mobile, weren't great at crushing that offensive. They felt like they had to all in, and in doing so, it gave openings like what we saw DK take. Anyways, the drafts are very different here this time around, pretty interesting. Of course, we see bands like the Tusk and the Undying, as well as heroes like Bane and Wyvern, all very powerful. This leaves, with all these supports and kind of pseudo offlaners being banned out, we're going to be seeing a lot more cores hit the field. But still, DK going the route of the Night Stalker Ancient Apparition. What do you think about that?
Night Stalker and Ancient Apparition, I think it's pretty good. It's gonna probably deny Wings Gaming the choice of the possible Dazzle pick coming up. I mean, you pair that up with the Dazzle. I mean, Dazzle and the Shadow Fiend actually is really strong with the Weave, and especially in the presence of the Dark Lord. So it kind of negates the option of Mech coming up in the Shadow Fiend, and as well the Scorch of the Doom. You know, the extra health regen if the Ancient Apparition gets a good Ice Blast. So, I mean, at the same time for now, yeah, DK, Night Stalker might... It's probably going to be that roaming support Night Stalker of the pause 5 Ancient Apparition for now.
Yeah, definitely could be. We'll have to see what they want to end up doing for their off lane too, because, I mean, obviously we've seen XXS run a lot of Slaughter, and that hasn't been bound out. So, with Doom most likely going to the off lane, I think there's going to be DK picking up the Slaughter, no problem at all. So that's what the Ice Blast is great. And then, yeah, they would definitely, in that case, run the Night Stalker as a support. I think if you first phase a hero like Night Stalker, you have to have some flexibility with him. You have to at least consider running him in a secondary lane. Like, otherwise, your draft gets really hedged into one avenue of thought, and you're not able to really play dynamically for the next stage. But Tiny worked out so well for Y Chen, it looks like they're going to be going at it again, this time most likely with a Wisp, as honestly, Doom is soft countered by Wisp, can't really guarantee a kill with a Doom when you have the Tether or the Relocate behind somebody. So overall, I think that this is going to be a great strategy that will allow them to still, I mean, they will have to run an offlane Night Stalker, but they're going to be able to do so much with the Tiny if they do go for the Wisp.
Indeed, but judging from how DK's been playing, I think they're not that reliant on the IO. They're perfectly fine with letting it slip by. Wings Gaming, they're probably like, you know, a bit skeptical right now because both these teams refusing to ban out or pick the Slaughter just yet. Especially, you know, being on the Radiant side, Shadow Fiend and, you know, Doom. These two heroes able to farm the Radiant jungle quite easily. It makes me wonder, you know, why these teams, none of them are picking up the Slaughter just yet. It's a great option, especially since they can do Rosh quite decently, both these teams so far.
Interesting.
Oh.
Interesting. I was thinking maybe they could like find a safe lane Slaughter opportunity and then go still for the off lane Doom, but it looks like they're going to be going for an off lane Clockwork to try to get the long range initiation here. Kind of awkward, to be honest with you. I don't feel like there's that much follow-up with the Clockwork. Yeah, you can throw in a Fisher, but Clockwork is already kind of controlling the position of the opponent anyways when he's got them in the cogs and the battery assault. You really want long-range damage to go with the Clockwork, and so far, one raise is pretty much all you've got in that capacity, and even that's not very great reach. So, looking for a little bit more to go with the Clockwork. He's decent here at just finding like little pickoffs here and there on the Ancient Apparition, and he can be quite the nuisance. Blade Mail is also really good against Tiny, the Avalanche Toss doing just as much to him, but in the end, I don't feel like he's going to have the control over the Wisp, and the Wisp can just tether out of those cogs and make it so that the Clockwork doesn't really get that much value here.
This is probably where the Earthshaker comes in. The Clockwork's just... Yeah, I think they pick it up just for forcing fights, but it's not so much about the follow-up, it's more about using the Rocket Flare to scout things out more. Especially since you have a Night Stalker on another team, so that's probably why you want to have the option of the Rocket Flare just to help you scout out, like, you know, incoming ganks and stuff like that. And okay, DK, the IO. Looks like it finally gets through.
5 seconds remaining.
Yep, they go for it, leaving the Slaughter to be most likely completely ignored this draft. I mean, at this point, since you have your 2 supports, unless you're running like a safe lane Slaughter, which I don't expect, that neither team wants it and neither team's going to ban it. So at this point, you've got 3 melee heroes on the side of the Wings Gaming up against the Tiny, and I feel like that by default here, DK Scuderia are already outdrafting their opponents. They just need to find a way to really make their fights happen, or set up their engagements, and so any kind of safe lane blink farmer would be good. Brewmasters, Slardars, that's still okay. Lina, Centaur, any hero that can really just get fights happening on their terms and start off that engagement is going to be pretty important. Or you could find somebody that can go into the jungle, so the Ancient Apparition can actually take the lane solo for a little bit. Either way, you definitely want to really maximize your side of the map and be very, very efficient about the early game.
Yep, and okay, I mean, at first I was a bit worried when, you know, the Doom and Shadow Fiend, both the first picks for Wings Gaming, and I actually like how they're going to distribute the farm quite nicely, because with the Doom in the safe lane, it opens up a much better option for, like, Doom can just go straight for the IO, so that will allow Shadow Fiend and hopefully one more support, like, say, a Lion, to burst down a Tiny just before the IO comes in. So this is probably one of those ideal situations, and meanwhile DK, ranged K, oh, it's a Chen.
Yeah.
Okay, haven't seen this in a while.
Yep, Wings Gaming did pick it up a little bit earlier in the tournament and did win with that game, so they feel some confidence with it. And it also gives an indication of why they banned the Clinks. Banning out the Clinks obviously makes it a lot easier for the Chen to keep his neutrals in play, and Ice will be doing the best he can micro-wise to try to get early momentum. But of course, Alchemist, a very common consideration with Tiny these days. As soon as I read the patch change that involved Aghanim Scepter, the first thing I thought about was the fact that Tiny didn't need another item slot filled. Like, that's just the first thing in my head. It's like, oh, Meepo gets a free item slot, Tiny gets a free item slot. Of course, the 4200 value shift is great too, and the fact that Alchemist is so good at farming that quickly. But really, I think the real value comes into play when you get that 7th item slot for free, and Y-Chen is going to be playing that safe lane Alchemist most likely. I could still go mid and maximize on the bounty runes, but of course IO would like to do a little bit of that himself. So right now I think it's IO Tiny mid. We'll have to see.
I think it's definitely going to be the Alchemist mid for sure.
Okay.
Purely because, like, I mean, yeah, Alchemist being able to utilize the runes more, and IO is just probably going to be like stacking the camps, and pretty much, if anything, we'll be refilling the bottle for the Alchemist. And I think I have a bug. I can't select heroes for some reason.
Yeah, the one thing is I just noticed IO bought Sentry Wards. You don't normally buy that if you're going to be going for like, the mid babysitting type role. So, or what you could do is just actually have Boboka babysit the Alchemist and cover that capacity, and that could be pretty strong as well. There's a lot of ways you could actually make this work in the early game, but the important thing is that your other heroes aren't too greedy. The Alchemist and the Tiny do need a lot of farm, so the way that OG run this, and why I think it's actually pretty strong in their hands, is because they always accompany it with like Earthshaker, Undying, heroes that don't really require much gold to get going in a game. Actually, Chilling Touch coming out here, they're trying to really bully people back, going for the toss forward. The Void will help get a couple of hits in range. Boboka tethering forward, such a nice execution in this fight, but is it going to be enough? One more hit required, and Boboka can't get it. The toss, the right click, wrong, will get the first blood at the cost of his life. 2 tosses, wow. They've really practiced this. Why? QD knows his Tiny as well as Y-Chen does, and man, that is a brilliant display. And they're going to get the bounty rune, of course.
Yep. Alright, pity I missed that because apparently I got disconnected from Perfect World service. So
no,
you're gonna
you should watch the replay back. That was actually really cool. The way they just like they pop 5-man Chilling Touch, and you're like, okay, well if they don't have a stun, you can't actually get those hits on people. But they use Toss and Tether so well to get 2 targets in range constantly. And they were actually able to dish out a lot of damage to first blood that Shadow Fiend while still keeping Y-Chen spellless. He was able to skill up Grievel's Greed and start off with that Boots first.
Nice. Alright, and I mean, a bit more insight into the Chen pick, I suppose. They just want to get a bit more push out of it at the same time, so you get more pressure to force the Alchemist back. So at the same time, I mean, yeah, this first 10 minutes is going to be really, really crucial on whether, you know, this Alchemist will be farming up the Aghanims for the Tiny. And this it's really an all, I wouldn't say it's an all or nothing, because just in general, the way the heroes work, you have your Earthshaker for that extra bit of damage and control. It really synergizes very, very nicely with the Tiny. And once he gets an eggs, I mean, you have a lot of melee heroes on the Radiant side, so yeah, they're gonna get wrecked if he gets that eggs.
So, first things first, Y-Chen doing really well here. 5-1 against the Shadow Fiend. Obviously, Shadow Fiend lacking the Necromastery stacks to really feel confident here. We are going to see the Satyr come in and drop a few shockwaves to harass back the Alchemist, give Shadow Fiend a little bit of help here, but that, of course, means Ice isn't farming in the meantime. But interestingly enough, Bumbleclaw has actually made his way down bottom. It looks like he still might be able to go for the bottle here, as he only bought Sentry Wards, and will be looking for the bottle, I think, as his next pickup. But he's actually helping out XXX in the offlane and giving him a little bit more. Night Stalker, obviously not the strongest offlaner. Great in a 3 position in terms of like the economy factor, but as far as him being able to survive in the lane, all he has is the natural HP regen and natural armor.
Through that, and yep, I think he just got his bottle, and yeah, so I'm just gonna be a packet loss. I can't really see what's going on for some reason. Perfect, well. Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly restart Dota, be right back.
Sure enough. In the worst case scenario, I'll take the fights, man, and you'll just whatever you want to cover in between. But right now we've got Bumbleclaw and Y-Chen just clearing out creeps on the side here, getting that Greevil action on. Still, honestly, it's been such an old change, but I'm still a little unused to calling it Greevil's Greed. I mean, it's just Goblin's Greed just rolled off the tongue so easily. But we're actually going to see a little kill here coming out on bottom. There is going to be a Chen rotation in with the Dark Troll Summoner. Didn't even need the net. It's just the Earthshaker block, it looks like. I did unfortunately miss that. But we're going to see him TP right back down to bottom. Probably refill the bottle here? Nope, didn't take advantage of that mechanic. But even still, they are going to be just kind of 2v1ing against Beyond. While the Clockwork is farming in the safe lane, the Doom is in the off lane, just devouring and trying to get the most out of the lane.
Alright, looks like I'm back. Hopefully.
Okay, interestingly enough, the Earthshaker is holding on to the ring protection of the Doom. I'm not sure how that happened or why that's happened, but it looks like they'll be joining up with him pretty soon because there's no reason to have that either way. And wow, I'm apparently at least missing sound effects. I'm not dropping packets visually, but I am not hearing a single thing that's happening across the map as we see a battery assault play going on the Night Stalker, and he gets caught out. Now Y-Chen in some trouble here. Tether will help him out, and Bumbleclaw with the overcharge bottle heals him up, but yeah, he will be at least the focus of Ice's Chen before they maybe make a play up top. Smoking, yeah, they'll rejoin that Doom. Like I said, it's kind of foreshadowing that he has that ring protection. He needs to join up with the Doom, and we'll see the 2 supports make their way that way. But they're going to actually try to bait this boundary rune, try to make it a 4 versus, looks like 3. But if the Alchemist just goes bottom rune, he'll be fine. So we'll see how well they read the situation. They don't have any vision of the Fog of War. Ancient Apparition, most likely dead. 2 stuns go against him, and he will be nuked down. Innocence taking the last hit. That will just leave Bounty Rune on the deck for the bottom rune spawn.
I like Wing's draft favorite. Like for this first 10 minutes, they're actually going to be really, really strong. All these early movements, it's pretty much what they have to do. And I think actually maybe the Alchemists, do they go for the wrap around? Yeah, I think they will.
Yeah, they will try to make something happen here. Concoction going to be channeled up here. Hopefully the Earthshaker Fisher doesn't disrupt it. No, it doesn't. So we're going to see some good damage come out with the Spirits. And although the Earthshaker kind of bodyguards against them, he's going to be taking a lot of damage too, and they'll just die for it. The Y-Chen will be dropping down 1 hit from death. The Rocket Flare finishes him off, and they do take it 2 kills, while actually the Chen and the Ancient Apparition trade evenly up top. So Tiny comes in with his face boots, is able to kill off the Chen as a rebuttal kill. But the Ancient Apparition died to a neutral creep, and not Chen's neutral creeps, just the neutral ones. So that is going to leave it at 5-4 as the kill score.
That was a pretty good goal swing going the way of DK. Just a bit unfortunate. And yeah, I mean, the Acid Spray did so much good. I mean, at least the time did right this time for DK. Let's see, Shadow Fiend actually looks like he's just going for the Ring Break Collar, your normal standard build for now. Chen is having a bit of problem. Yeah, the neutral creep is actually wrapping around. I think they want to go on Chen one more time. He has the Mud Golem and the Centaur for the double stun if he needs it. Maybe try for the bottom lane as well on the Night Stalker. That could be the idea.
Yeah, I mean,
think it is.
XSS has been kind of vulnerable. This off lane, especially during the daytime, he's not been able to get much out of it. The Daywalker is just a hero that, honestly, he doesn't survive. Now, like, he can tank, but he can't escape. And so, until the nighttime, he really has some difficulty in the lane, and he's actually been a little bit too far forward in the lane twice over now, dying twice. But Chen creeps aren't able to really do much for the rune, I mean, they're not doing anything as far as the gank, but we're going to see the hookshot still come through, and that should be death number 3, as he's completely caught out. Bobacut will do what he can, starts bottling, overcharging, magic sticking. He actually might be able to heal him up, but just enough. XSS flies away with 479 movement speed and a healing self.
Just really good rotation coming from Bobacut, but this will just pretty much open up the middle lane. And Chen can't really do much except just put on an acid spray. I think SF is actually going to be out farming the Alchemist this time. There aren't any stacks in the jungle for the Alchemist, or at least none that I can see, because apparently I'm getting a visual bug. Bottom lane again, they're trying to turn around on Faith. He's turning around the battery assault, but Bobacut is there. He has the extra tether spirits. Nope, he's just gonna back off.
So yeah, there are only a few stacks up for the Alchemist, and he's not gonna get like a most accelerated economy through the mechanic of Grievous Greed. Just 1 point in it, and like you said, only a few stacks. He's only got 2 points in acid spray anyways. But what I'm most interested in, as Beyond gets cornered in by success, yeah, he gets the combo of spells out, but that's not going to save him if the Wisp gets just a little bit more damage out there. Now they're going to turn their attention to Innocence here. Spirits are gone, but Chen has rotated. He's going to get that concoction spray to bring him down. Ice, trying to just go for a Test of Faith kill on Bobacut, but can't get the range, and now has to retreat. So, to go further with that, I feel like it's almost a waste to have Beyond be a Clockwork down bottom. Like, your Doom is obviously going to be doing his own thing on the top lane. He's kind of independent. But this Clockwork, dueling it out with the Night Stalker, sure, he's generated a few kills. Oh, beautiful Rocket Flare snipe on the Wisp there. That was actually brilliant. But I feel like, with the exception of a couple of Rocket Flares that have gotten a kill in mid and just now, I feel like the Clockwork could have been a different hero and still accomplished a similar goal.
An article of faith.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the question for, like, say, Bristleback or something more tanky, at least, which will provide more, late game potential against DK, because DK, their late game is, I would say, superior to Wings, purely because the Night Stalker can sort of transition into the very late game carry-oriented hero at the same time. But mid game, it doesn't look that bright for DK at the moment, to be honest. I feel that Wings still have the edge.
I mean, obviously, when the Relocate and the Ice Blast come online, it's going to be a pretty big difference factor, but I feel like it is kind of the classic Night Stalker situation. At nighttime, they're even. At daytime, they're worse off, and they just have to kind of find ways to mitigate their disadvantage until the Alchemist and Tiny are farmed sufficiently. Beyond actually has a line here, but misses the hookshot onto QD very fast. Phase Boots and the Grow passive gives him the move speed he needs, and he's going to actually turn it onto Beyond here. Concoction is going to connect, though there is no acid spray to supplement it. So Beyond limping away at 94 HP. Looks like he'll be okay. No Rocket Flare to snipe him.
Yep, so Tiny just got a bit lucky over there. And I mean, at least that saves the Ancient Apparition. He gets a bit more farm, getting closer to his level 6. He needs another creep wave. Bottom lane, I mean, a bit of space for the Shadow Fiend. He's definitely getting bigger on the Radiant side, but not as big as you would expect. He hasn't been clearing the jungle, seeing as there's a Chen. So Wings just really just bleeding this entire jungle dry as much as they can. While SF should be, I think this should be like just your Sanj and Yasha, or even a BKB this game. The BKB will be very good. Even a casual Sanj will be great against the Tiny, because once he gets the blink up on Tiny, heroes like the Chen and Earthshaker are going to suffer very heavily from this.
Yeah, you could look at the old school Blink BKB build, but I think SNY is probably the more common progression, since you don't have to go for the mech, and not only the fact that you're up against an AA, but obviously your Chen's building it. So, all in all, you're going to have the HP sustained between fights. You're just going to have to tank up and be more relevant while the fights are going on. We're actually going to be seeing this tier 1 tower being pressured heavily. The Acid Spray ticking Doom down. He'll pop the Scorched Earth and fight it. And it's going to be the tower going to Chen. But what about Y Chen? Ice Blast coming in, killing off the Chen. The Doom going out on the Alchemist, but he's got that unstable, or that Chemical Rage, and he's going to be just fine. Actually has the Wisp behind him, going to try to kill off target as soon as the Doom expires. The Fisher will come out, though, and there's a nice hook shot on Boboka, bringing him low. Tether is not far enough. XXS, why are you standing there? And we're going to see Y Chen now in a really rough spot here. Going to try to go for the Roshan deny, not going to happen, and XXS can't do much else here. I mean, they actually find Innocence by himself, can isolate him, but that's actually going to put both of them in the pit, and that's going to cost them their lives, most likely, too. Wrong. Ice Blast, available. They don't have any other spells, though, to add the damage in, just the Void and the Ice Blast, and they're going to try to run through Hell and back. It's going to be Doom that goes low. Can the toss do enough damage? He'll be shattering in just 60 damage. Very close, but no cigar. He'll survive, and that is going to be a lot of deaths that didn't need to happen for the side of DK Scuderia.
Yeah, I think that was a bit way too YOLO. Actually, not a bit. It was way too YOLO from the Tiny and Night Stalker. I think they were just too greedy, having a bit of faith in Ancient Apparitions. Yeah, Ancient Apparitions Ice Blast. It overestimated the damage output. So, like you said, unnecessary deaths everywhere, and Wings find himself another step forward into this game, as their gold advantage just increases quite significantly. The mech is almost completed on Ice.
Obviously really solid for pushes here and there. Whenever the Ice Blast isn't up, you can expect a really good means of keeping heroes alive, whether the Hand of God or the Mechanism is the primary factor there. So, along with that, Shadow Fiend has saved up 2,200 gold. Might just go for the straight Blink Dagger. It's not the worst item to pick up and just kind of choose your positioning and maneuver appropriately. Obviously, earn stuff against live.
Oh, they're gonna bang through each other. Faith's gonna get a hook shot onto XXS directly, but he's probably gonna die. The Relocate's coming in, and there we go. Nice avalanche toss combo is gonna kill off 2. And alright, so we get 2 down, and they're on the chase, looking for Innocence. XXS, he's going Night Stalker. It's nighttime, you just don't run from this. And Cutie's probably gonna find himself another freebie. Yep, there we go, double kill for him, and they're gonna look for a bit more. And okay, end of that skirmish, 3 for nothing. Going the way of DK, very nice smoke gank, and the Relocate used.
Yep, of course, the Observer Ward on the lane, giving them a false sense of security where the smoke just completely catches them off guard. And of course, it's just when nighttime starts, so it's the perfect time for the Night Stalker to be on the prowl and start building momentum for his team. I mean, Clockwork may be 5-1-3, but now the Tiny gets himself a 3-1-3 KDA. And actually going to find a Concoction, Spray, and the Solar Crest all at once here on the Shadow. With the Ice Blast on top, that will be a kill on the Doom. And now Beyond just trying to get 1 or 2 kills in exchange. They kill off the Wisp early, but what happens next? QD dropping the Avalanche Toss, killing off the Earthshaker. Hand of God is not going to be his salvation.
Nicely done to isolate the IO, so they know that without that little disco ball they will just back up. But the hook shot, meanwhile, is going to go on the Ancient Apparition. Faith going to find himself a nice freebie, a nice straggler here, and Rome will just die. So right, to get a consolation kill for the Clockwork. Very nicely done.
But still, the last couple of fights have been really solid from DK's to get it area. In the end, the net worth deficit they accumulated by kind of throwing away a few lives there has been brought down close to 0. And now it's going to be on Wings to build the tower momentum. They're going to have that mechanism, as you mentioned. Oh, Shadow Blade's the choice for the Shadow Fiend, and I actually think that's really strong here. But we're going to see the Relocate come in, a Concoction, Acid Spray, a lot of damage going into SF, no Requiem for you, back to the line. And we'll just see them kind of walk away from there. They're not healthy enough to pursue, or are they? They're looking for the toss play. They have the Night Stalker vision, and they'll have the Chen jumped upon. He'll get himself a Wild Wing before he falls, but it looks like he will indeed fall. And doesn't even have the chance to deny himself. That's going to be Beyond in a bit of a pickle now. Getting tossed up. Concoction will be in range. And it's going to be QD to pick up the last hit here. So, a lot of kills, and a big aspect of that, of course, vision. They've got the Observer Wards where the Chen was going, where he was coming from, and then the Night Stalker himself, a beacon in the darkness.
And thanks to that fight, the cores of DK, they're getting so much bigger. Alchemist is Solar Crest Bill. Really does a lot, especially when he uses the Solar Crest on the same target as the Tiny when he gets the Avalanche toss combo off. He has 2.3k gold. He's gonna get his Blink if he wants to right now. Alright, and yeah, and they actually can't fight without the Earthshaker. That's why they lost that fight.
Yeah, I mean, Earthshaker, only level 5, has some limitations to his impact, but yeah, in that case, you're really not going to be able to get involved without at least a few extra disables, a few means to control these cores down. I mean, the Doom is also a huge factor to that. One of these 2 heroes has to be involved, either the Doom ultimate or a couple of stuns from Shaker every engagement, or you're going to be losing out. As far as the smokes go, we have one left in shop, one just purchased by Wrong, and it looks like they want to make something happen. With this, if this is a successful smoke from DK, you're putting the Ancient Apparition very close to the Hand of Midas, and of course you're just able to use that relocate blink very effectively. So you'll see like a 2 or 3 man smoke, and then you'll be finding some opportunities to pick people off. The Blink Dagger is such a momentum shift for Tiny, because normally your Blink Dagger is a trade-off, where it's like, I'm getting Blink early means I get my Ags late. In this case, he gets his Blink early, and he still gets his Ags at a pretty good time thanks to the Alchemist. He won't go for it for the next item, but most likely the one after that.
And Alchemist isn't farming an Axe for the Tiny, he's actually going for Shadow Blade, I believe. He has a Shadow Amulet on, and yep, I think, oh, they're gonna walk. You should see him.
No, okay. Well, we'll see the relocate come through. They're going to be looking for a Beyond. A hook shot is not going to be enough to save him here. He hooks the neutrals, gets tossed up, down he goes. And yeah, Shadow Fiend just bails out quickly. They actually broke smoke on the Shadow Blade of the SF with no detection, but in the end they still find their quarry.
And at the same time, Night Stalker did pick up his Midas. He completed at the bottom lane, like at 15:41. Bottom lane. I think they want to go in the bottom lane, yeah. Tiny's all alone, and... but does he know?
Requiem could be coming out. Craggy, what?
Craggy!
Are you serious? Cuties gonna get
God,
the combo. The Ice Blast hits. Oh my gosh, the Shadow Fiend just had the worst luck of all time, and they're just gonna tether heal through the Doom. They're gonna kill off the Shaker, maybe even Shadow 2. The SF will be able to TP home just out of Shatter Threshold, but Ice can't. He doesn't have vision for the Test of Faith. Can't get the kill. Can't even bring him low. He's gonna instead focus on XXS. A couple of nukes at long range. The Rocket Flare as well, but it's just not enough. The Night Stalker survives. And oh man, what an unfortunate exchange for Wings.
It all starts with the Craggy, dude. It's all about Craggy.
Level 1 Craggy. What is that? 10% chance.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, strangely, I'm not sure what it's about today, but I think Tiny's Craggy is the new like Spirit Breaker Bash. It's really broken for some reason. I had this weird game this morning where apparently we lost team fights purely because the Craggy was like RP.
Yeah.
It procs every single time on the first try.
6.86. It's either got to be on hit that the Craggy procs, or it has to be PRD. One of the two, please, because this thing is just so frustrating.
And I think what's on Reddit as well, where they should change it where the proc only happens after you attack, not before the attack. Apparently, the Craggy procs even when you're going for the Warrior's Punch on the Tuskar. So yeah, so you just stand there looking silly. It's like an automatic stun.
Oh, Relocate Play gonna be coming out here. Innocent's gonna be blinked on. The hookshot will try to help him out, but no, he's gonna be going down. 12 seconds as a timer. IO actually going down far before that count finishes. And with the Battery Assault, Beyond will actually not be killed off by the Tiny. Now Y Chen though coming in with the Shadow Blade, looking for an opportunity. It's only gonna be on the SF. No, he self-stuns. And now under the Sentry Ward, he's in some real trouble. Oh no! 2 kills for 1 support. And that was the initiation of DK.
Nicely done, all these defensive wards really paying off for Wings, knowing that DK want to take a fight. And with the Chen creeps, they will just do Roshan. Meanwhile, with the Wildling, whatever, yeah, Wild Ripper is just going to send a nice Cyclone, scout things out. And there's no way DK contests this Roshan. Relocate is off, so there we go. Age is going to be the Shadow Fiend in 19 minutes in. Very nicely played, and
this is a really important objective too. Like, the fact is, you're up against a double Midas, Alchemist, and a Tiny. Like, the Ancient Apparition Midas isn't there yet, it's about to be, but the Night Stalker already has his, and of course, Alchemist and Tiny are pretty much the 2 MVP cores of this game as it progresses. So what you're seeing is Greed versus Greed Punishers, and it really comes down to whether or not Wings can win the game within, not this row cycle, but the next one. I would have to say they're going to be in much the same situation if they're not breaking the base by Rosh number 2.
Yep, and at the same time, I think DK should be fine. I mean, the high ground defense is pretty decent with the Acid Spray, actually, and the Ice Blast. So Wings will always have to be very careful. So even if even if an A just is... yeah, I think they really can't break high ground that easily at all. And that's actually going to make plenty of openings for DK to come back in this game, because they still have so many more items they can pick up on, especially in Y Chen. Tiny as well should be making his way towards an Ags.
Well, not him. The Alchemist will certainly pick it up just for the free item slot, if nothing else. But Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit longer before Y-Chin actually picks that up. Do you think he goes for like a silver edge and then for it, or I feel like he has to have a little bit of strength on himself, a little bit of meat on the bones before he goes for the X or the tiny.
Oh, definitely, and it's gonna be really good. Something which you know it's a bit underrated. Not you probably think it's not worth noting out, but if you use the Silver's Edge, you actually cancel out the presence of Dark Lord. So all that negative armor, it's gonna make like heroes like the Alchemist and the Tiny so much more tanky, especially since you know these two heroes have really low base armor.
Just comes down to that slot efficiency too. I mean, Alchemist can farm up very quickly as the game progresses, so you want to make the most of every inventory slot, and Silver Edge is probably one of the more cost-effective or slot-efficient items in the game.
Wings is looking for the smoke. I think they want to find them. Yep, they're going to wrap around. Probably actually might find us, seeing as the whole DK is at the bottom T1.
Remember, how deep do they go? How heavily do they flank? The Clockwork doesn't have the easiest way of getting there. He'd actually TP to the front line, and they kind of box them in. They're getting some good wards down, but right now, everybody of DK's area is down here. Not a single straggler that they can catch out. So they're just going to focus on the offense. They made a mistake last game of kind of second-guessing themselves when it came down to their pushes, and they ended up getting tinied hard. So here, they're going to just focus on the tier 2. And DK will take that tier 2 again on the opposite side of the map. That is the first time this happened, it was in first game 1, it was the second Roshan. Wings got that in exchange for their tier 2 on the top lane. Now we're seeing actually Y-Chin hooked, and Shadowblade's not going to help him here, it doesn't look like. Nice triple raise coming in from SF, just on the mark.
Look at the top lane.
Yep.
Rat is real.
But they don't have the Ags, unfortunately, so it's just fast attack. It hurts, but it won't kill off the tier 1. Now they're actually buying back on the Alchemist. This is really the critical point in the game in my mind. They're going to have to fight with everything they've got here. The Ice Blast cooling down for 20 seconds. There's going to be so many Chen heals that will mitigate a lot of the offensive DK. We're going to be seeing a big avalanche. No, a terrible avalanche. Missing everything. The Doom coming out. And we're actually going to see the Y-Chen stun himself. Oh no. That's a dieback on the Alchemist. That's a mid lane of Rax gone. They do have to kill off a tier 2 tower before they go for the next high ground push, though. They still have the Aegis. They still have all their heals. But for now, the only thing they lose out on that offense is the Doom.
Pretty okay fight for Wings. They still haven't lost the Aegis, I believe. Yeah, it's gonna expire soon though. And this really punishes all these Midases on the Night Stalker and Ancient Apparition. This probably misreading the pace of the game. Yeah. Where Wings, they saw the double Midas, so they're like, okay, Terror, we can just go for this all push strat with this Aegis. We can pretty much take high ground. And like I said, he tosses back a creep. Oh, that's not the target you want. And it looks like Wings will actually get a second lane of Rax. Oh wow.
Doing a lot of work right now. QD gonna be dropping very low. This life is so important. He's gonna have to buy back for this one. The Echo Slam slams him down. XXS caught in the cogs. Boboka can't relocate him back safely. And now, wrong, without an Ice Blast, they can't stop the Rex from falling. Wings are gonna be taking 2 full lanes. They might just be taking the game here. Wrong does not die to the tornado, but even still, the QD is pretty much all in. This is his last stand here, as they have only 1 lane to work with, and they get a dieback again on the Alchemist. That's his 3rd death consecutively, and that's the GG. DK, they got too greedy. They went for cores that really don't come online fully for like the first half of the game, and then they went for 2 Midases, and that's just too much to withstand when Wings just get a little bit of leverage.
Just really unfortunate, but it was really good decision from Wings. When they saw the double Midas, that was definitely their window of opportunity, that tiny window, and it paid off. So you can see here, 24-minute GG by Wings, really well played, and they will force a game 3. Tiny never got close to hitting that Ags, so that's why, you know, there was no way they could clear the creeps and all. Just really good pressure from the Chen. It was a good pick, even though the score says 0-4. Really underrated hero this game. So we will go into game 3, Blaze.
Absolutely. So just a really great play from Wings. I mean, they got their small foothold, and they were really able to take it all the way. When they kind of just got 1 pick off that turned into the Roche, that was huge. Obviously, their DK had a few heroes that just didn't need to fall, but at the same time, it brings us to a very interesting game 3. Because that game was actually a lot closer than the score might suggest. Yeah, it was a 24-minute game, but I honestly will stand by an opinion that DK were 1 fight away from winning the game, or at least bring themselves to an advantage in the game. If they could hold the high ground there, if they could find some way of winning that fight, then the rest of the game is theirs for the taking, because they have so much potential. They set themselves up for late game success. The problem was the 24-minute mark. So they really just, Wings pushed their advantage right when they needed to, and were able to close this one out before things got out of hand. Very nicely done. And Game 3 will be the most interesting as a result. Obviously, this is elimination, this is lower bracket, and this is going to be determining who goes to the final round to go for that final slot to Minsk. We already see LGD and EHOME took the 2 upper bracket tickets, so we're going to be looking for the lower bracket decider here. Wings versus DK will be going up against the winner of Newbie Young versus FTD.B, and we're going to be seeing that all in just a few minutes for this third game here to close out the series. Thanks once again for tuning in. I'm myself and Blaze, joined by Hades. You can follow us at BlazeCasting and at HadesDota, and we'll see you guys in just a few minutes for the third and deciding Game 3. Hype!